My Survivor hot take would probably be this new era. People want to see the old stuff, but I really think the new stuff is more inclusive. I think it's more of like storytelling, and I think it's more invigorating. I like it. I think it should stick around. This new era is something else.
I mean, I think Michelle definitely deserved to win Co-Wrong, hands down, easy. I got a couple more hot takes. I can keep going. I think Philip Shepard, A-tier player. I think he's great. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Those are my two hottest takes.
My Survivor hot take is that Edge of Extinction is actually a really good twist. I think it adds a lot of pressure to the way that you treat people when you vote them out and before you vote them out. And I mean, it's always fun to see people come back and have a second chance. So Edge of Extinction for me.
I rewatched a lot of seasons before I came here. I have a ranking of all the seasons, and every time that I rewatch, which has been a couple times, Survivor 38, The Edge of Extinction, is a top 15 season in Survivor. I am obsessed with it. If I leave here, I want to do a rewatch podcast about it. I'm sure Rick is available. He has other podcasts that he does. Me and Rick side by side. It's such a good season. Everybody on it, aside from the guy who's in Coon on now, everybody else has something that they bring to the show, and it's great. And I'm so in on Survivor 38, The Edge of Extinction. There's people here walking around with Edge of Extinction merch, and I want it. I keep telling them, like, can I have that after you're done here?
My Survivor hot take would be that the younger generation might not get my jokes. They might not get where my sense of humor falls in, and I got to be able to read the room on that. Life is about having fun, and I'm all about having fun. And my generation has a different level of fun, and it is what it is. But, that's my hot take.
I love Tony. I feel like a lot of people didn't like him, but I thought that he was so fun to watch. He always had a reason for why he did something. And like, I've listened to podcasts that he's done, and like people would ask him like, oh, well, you didn't win because you didn't do this. You just got lucky. And like, no, I think he was a hustler. But I definitely just like, he's the first person that pops up to mind.
I'll tell you that my favorite Survivor player right now, it's not one you expect at all. I love Brad Culpepper. I'm a big, I'm a Culpepper fan, Culpepper maniac. I like them both. I'm especially fond of Brad. In terms of like the seasons themselves, I think that Vanuatu, extremely underrated season. I love Vanuatu. It's one of my favorites. In terms of maybe the gameplay itself, I think that this inheritance advantage, and I just spoke to somebody else about this, but people have not really thought about the full potential that this item has. And I think it could be a major, major piece in the future, especially if somebody gets it who already has advantages.
This is definitely a hot take. And you can probably tell it by just looking at me physically. But my Survivor hot take is, I don't think you need to be physical to play this game. Not even to win this game, but to play this game. We've seen in the modern era of Survivor a lot of these challenges, and people say, oh, we need to keep the tribe strong. We need to have these big, burly, usually guys, but mostly people. And I'm like, well, the puzzles or the challenges always come down to the puzzles. Who matters if you push a block approximately 30 seconds faster than the other team if you're going to spend 15 minutes solving a puzzle? So everyone's always talking about keeping the tribe strong, voting out the stronger players later in the game. When push comes to shove, I think the people who are the biggest threats in those challenges, like the assets to a team in some instances, are those who, are able to solve puzzles really efficiently.
Survivor hot take, my all-time favorite players have never won. And so I don't think the greatest players of all time are the ones that win. Sometimes I think people are dragged to the end. And listen, you got to get the right jury votes, and I'm sure they matter too. But my favorite Survivor players are the ones who are cunning and smart and bold, and not the ones that just play it safe to get to the end. I think that's kind of bullshit. No one wants to watch that.
Here's a hot take. This one's a throwback. I think you'll like this one. I think Chris Daugherty is a higher tier winner than people give him credit for. I think people don't give that game enough credit. I think the stranglehold that Amy Cusack had on that game and the very strong women in that season, the way that Chris Daugherty was able to take over that game and win, I think is more impressive than people give it credit for.
I think this is going to be extremely unpopular, but I think Shot in the Dark, I would love to see a season where Shot in the Dark had better odds, because I think the spirit of Shot in the Dark is really cool in that you can't predict for it. So as a tribe, you have to have a go-to plan and then a backup plan. Otherwise, you and your alliance might get screwed. But I think that would be actually more exacerbated, and it would be cooler to watch if the person playing their Shot in the Dark had more of a chance of actually using it. So that's one of my hot takes. I brought that up with some other Survivor watchers, and I think they've all been like, no, we don't really like Shot in the Dark to begin with. I'm like, no, it's a great concept, but you need to lean into it more. So that's my first. And then my other hot take is that I would love to see more challenges that are like physical. Like one of my favorite challenges is, I think, from Survivor Cagayan, and it's a challenge where there's a pole and people like hug the pole, and then someone's just like trying to drag them off the pole within a certain time frame. Or there's that challenge, for example, I think in Fans versus Favorites, where it's like an obstacle course, but you're tied to the person in front of you and you have to like chase after the person. I think those kinds of challenges are so fun because you can't prepare for them. Like you can't study beforehand. There's no way to be able to prepare. You just have to go in with like grit and a can-do attitude and see what comes out of it. And I think that's just fun. I think the more unpredictable the game is, the funner it is.
So this recent season that I don't know the ending of, I'm really annoyed that the producers are making it so easy to make a fake idol. What the heck? This game isn't hard enough. So now I get to find an idol and I get to do I found an idol dance. No, I don't. Because then I look like an idiot. Because now I found an idol and I don't know if it's real or not. Now, I mean, bravo to the first person to make the fake idol. Like, genius. But why are we gotta make it so easy now? I think if I wasn't gonna be on the show, maybe I think it was awesome. But because all I can do when I watch that is think of me finding it and not being able to be excited. Like the first time that, I'm like having hives when I watch it. I'm like, wow, what is this? But so I guess it's just another take that I gotta adapt, which I will adapt. But that is for sure an annoyance of mine. Another is, because they give you a risk doesn't mean you have to take it. Like, risk my vote? Risk the only power I have just because? I don't think that you should have to do something just because it's offered. I think that's a little bit crazy. I just want to be smart. It's going to have to be huge, like a guarantee for sure. This risking thing, I'm doing enough risking. I'm on the show. Come on. But I don't know if I want to risk one of the biggest things I have. It's got to be bigger than that. And I still think the vote is the most important thing. But maybe I'm showing my age. I probably am showing my age. So maybe that's why it's a controversial take.
I don't know if this is going to be like as hot of a take anymore, but I'm for the new era. The way I see it is, it's kind of like in sports. I feel like there's a lot of old heads in Survivor. You know, like people hate the 3-point line in the NBA and like all the offense and the points that that's creating. They hate the offensive rule changes in football with the QB and everything else. You know, to me, Survivor's in that place where it's evolving, it's changing, and now people are saying, well, it's not the same game. I can't just watch 25 seasons, walk in there and know how to play it perfectly. Like I'm gonna actually have to come up with something, right? Like I think there's more opportunity for originality with the things that are happening. And yeah, there's a chance that you go home from an unlucky twist to the roll of the dice, but that's life. I'm a gambler anyways, whether it's at home or whether it's here. And so it's like, if you're okay with the idea of loss, then you're going to be more open to, I think, all of the opportunity that actually is the new era.
I don't know if it's a super hot take because it just happened. It's actually new from Survivor 44, but I feel very strongly about it. I do not like, and I disagree with the concept of the producers creating fake idols and then putting them in the game. Like, you're supposed to be like, a fake idol is supposed to make you say, well, if you were dumb enough to fall for a carved out stick, you know what I mean? Then that's your own fault. Not like beads that are actually sourced from somewhere that literally could be an idol. Or in Survivor 44's case, literally, I think they used the same things that were a real idol for one tribe and made them a fake idol for another. Like, come on! That just takes away the weight and the power of the idol. Like, the idol is supposed to be powerful. If you see one, it's supposed to be able to be like, I know this is real, and if I don't know that it's fake because I'm not able to recognize, twigs and random beads put together as fake, then that's my own fault and I deserve to go. But, it's not really your fault if you fall for an idol that literally looks exactly like a real producer-made idol. Oh, and obviously, we need the Survivor auction back. Like, come on, it's getting out of control.
When I watch the season that's happening right now, season 44, my friends don't really feel the same way as I do, so maybe it's a hot take, but Carolyn is underrated. Not underrated, but I think she's undermined and people don't give her as much credit as they should. And then other hot take, I feel like we should be not in as small of teams. I want it to be like 10 and 10. I feel like 6 is just like, I mean, yeah, it makes it exciting because there's nowhere to hide, but I like the idea of having more people for some reason because it just gives more people more opportunity, you know? And I think I like that gameplay better with a little bit bigger teams, maybe 2 teams instead of like 3 small teams.
Russell Hantz. He was a player that I look up to. And I feel like he's probably the best player to ever play. And even though his story is more of the Joker, it's kind of like, would you tell the Joker he was a bad bank robber? It's like, no, you wouldn't, because he's the best. You know, like he's perfected that even though he's like a very, very like, you know, goes bump in the night kind of character, you can't take away that he's good at that. And I feel like for Russell, like he kind of got a bad shake, you know, with the media because he has such a confidence that like just surpasses himself, you know, bar none. But he has the resume to back everything that he's done up. And so I just feel like he was the most, monumental, just like completely changed the way people even thought. People were sitting on their ass in the sand until Russell Hantz. You know, people were waiting for the game to come to them until he happened and played those 2 seasons back to back and really forced people to get up and, hey, like, if y'all are going to sit here all day, I'm going to find an idol in your face and you're going to have to watch it on national TV. Because it's going to be embarrassing for you. So either play or get left in the dust. And I feel like his 2 seasons that he played, even though he didn't win, he went top 3 twice back to back. That is amazing. Like, just this little taste that I've had right now, I can already feel how mentally exhausting this is going to be, how much my body is going to change, how much my mind is going to have to change to even adjust to, 18 other people or 17, including me. But for him to do it twice without mistakes, it is genius. And I don't feel like people give him enough credit just because of how America kind of like, oh, we want a hero, we want a Rupert, or we want a Boston Rob or a Kobe or, a Tyson, somebody. Even Tyson is kind of like low-key rude, but because he's funny, he kind of plays it off with the jester thing, but he was really mean to some of the characters, but he got a pass because he can make you laugh. Russell just didn't care, he had enough money, I guess, where he didn't have to leverage his, personality for likes, and I love him. I'm a huge fan.
My Survivor hot take is that I actually really think the format of 26 days is good for the game of Survivor. This is an unpopular opinion here. There's a lot of people who are like, no, 39 days, that's the only way to play. But you know what? There's an element of the 26-day game that forces the contestants to think quicker on their feet, to move faster, to play the game harder, because you have such a finite amount of time, more so than the 39 days. So 26 days, let's go.
My Survivor hot take would probably be this new era. This new era is such a different thing, and I think that it shouldn't go back to the old way. That's not a common thing in this, day and age, because people want to see the old stuff, but I really think the new stuff is more inclusive. I think it's more of like storytelling, and I think it's more invigorating. You're getting more in depth with the characters, and you got some new twists that you've never seen before, like the shot in the dark or the beware advantages and stuff like that. You don't see those in the previous seasons, and I think that would be something that people are going to have to get used to because it's sticking around in the game. And I like it. I think it should stick around. This new era is something else.